Hi, welcome to lesson number 7, module 11 of the Big Data and Hadoop Developer course. So in this lesson, we'll be talking about deploying HBase. So before we proceed with the lesson, let's have a quick recap of the previous lesson. So in the previous lesson, we learned about the HBase operations in depth, such as the architecture, meta table, region servers, how a write happens, and even how load balancing happens and how HBase can recover from a crashed region server. So in this lesson, we'll understand about the HBase architecture and a holistic picture of it. We'll see what is Zookeeper, logging operations, and schematic view of HBase deployment. So here I can see an overall picture of HBase. So we have the region servers on the data nodes, and the region server is like one data node, and lot of regions can be there in a particular region server. Now you can also see that a region is basically a part of your table, horizontally division, and a table can be can be divided into multiple parts, and multiple region servers can hold that. So now let's imagine that one store is equal to, let's say, one family being divided. So in one region I have got 5 families. So I'll be creating those 5 family stores in my subgroup. So every store would be equivalent to one store or one family with one row key. So you don't have to worry about this if you don't understand it right now, because in the next lesson we will be having a detailed understanding about how the HBase data model is deployed. For the time being, what we need to understand here is that the client is there which can talk to Zookeeper to get the location where it want to read and write, and HMaster is the component which handles all the region servers. Inside a region server we have the HLog, which is your write ahead log, and the memstore, and the persisted data is called HFile. The HFile is actually persisted into your HDFS. So let's now understand what is a Zookeeper. HBase depends on Zookeeper by default for its functioning. Having said that, HBase manages the Zookeeper instance by starting and stopping the Zookeeper service. As we had learned earlier, both HMaster and region servers register themselves with Zookeeper. Zookeeper contains all the important metadata about each data block. So if the HBase master crashes, you can still recover all the data from Zookeeper itself. So this all happens like all the data first goes to the main store, and then the main store it goes to the Zookeeper. The first region is that happens the log tables, and from the log table it gets stored with the main store, and from the main store to the other regions. So Zookeeper is recommended, or I should say rather than recommended, Zookeeper is the major component who holds all this information. Now let's understand about the logging operation in HBase. Uh, every time a client submits a request like a put or a delete or any other job on a particular region server, there will be a logging operation. Now we understand the region servers are on data node. So whatever data has been entered or whatever commands that you have typed, whatever updations you have done on that particular region server is entered into HLog. So HLog, in other words, you can say it is like an edit log for the entire region server. So without HLog, recovering your data will be very difficult. From the HLog, the data gets transferred to memstore, and from there it gets flushed to the HDFS as HFile. The HFile finally gets stored on the blocks, that is the HDFS blocks on Hadoop. So H region is on everywhere. You can say for every data node you have an H region, but first your data gets uploaded into HLog. So how the entire process happens is that first your data goes to the HLog, then only it goes to memstore, and from there it goes to the individual H file. So when we deploy HBase, what happens is that there will be a master and slave nodes. The master nodes are usually by default will be having our name node, secondary name node, and job tracker for Hadoop. HMaster and Zookeeper will be the master services in from the point of view of HBase. Now the slave nodes are typically data node and task tracker, and the region server also act as a slave in terms of HBase setup. So to wrap up in this particular lesson, we have learned the HBase architecture, what is Zookeeper, how logging happens, and how you typically deploy HBase in a cluster. That's all for this lesson.